Top 5 most brutal female serial killers. Kind, gentle, and caring are qualities that we often associate women with. It's nearly impossible to imagine them committing a single act of violence, let alone killing a human being. But as much as we want to deny it, women can be cold-blooded killers too. Take a deep breath, as you will be horrified with these 5 brutal female serial killers throughout history. Number 5. Karla Homolka. Karla Homolka took the phrase, kill for love, a little too literally when she committed a crime, albeit as an accomplice, to impress her lover. In 1993, Homolka, a Canadian native, was convicted of manslaughter following a plea bargain with prosecutors for the rape and murder of at least 2 women, with one being her own sister. But these 2 unfortunate souls were only the tip of the iceberg. According to reports, Homolka aided her husband, Paul Bernardo, killing a string of women in Scarborough, Ontario between the years of 1990 and 1992. It all started with Homolka's twisted Christmas gift to Bernardo by letting him rape Tammy Homolka, her 15-year-old sister. Tammy died from the brutality of the act. The rape murders were soon followed after with the death of 2 Ontario teenage girls named Leslie Mahaffey and Kristen French. Bernardo was convicted of the crimes and received life imprisonment sentence. Homolka, meanwhile, struck a deal with prosecutors, who granted her a reduced prison sentence of 12 years after claiming that she was an unwilling accomplice to the murders. Number 4. Nanny Doss. Nanny Doss, aka the Giggling Granny, had killed a total of 12 people, most of which were immediate family members and a few extended ones. First married at 16, Doss bore 4 children in her first marriage. 2 of them allegedly died of food poisoning. Distraught by the tragic loss, Doss's first husband left her. From the look of how things went later on, we could say that the man escaped his doom. The Alabama native went on to marry 4 more times, and none of them were lucky enough to survive. During her trial in 1954, Doss confessed to killing all of her husbands, and she did it by slipping poison in their food. Meanwhile, the Black Widow happily cashed in on her husband's insurance policies. Doss's killings didn't end with her husband's, apparently. It was revealed that she also killed her own mother, 2 of her sisters, 1 of her nephews, a mother-in-law, and her baby grandson. Because of the law of the state that exempts death penalty to women, she was never executed, but instead given a life sentence. She died in 1965 from leukemia at the age of 59. Number 3. Elizabeth Báthory. The Countess Elizabeth Báthory was once thought to be a vampire because of her rumored bloodlust. But even Count Dracula himself pales in comparison to the kind of evil this Hungarian nobility has committed. Historical accounts of her grim exploits suggest the lady's penchant for inflicting pain on others, and she did it with some help from her husband. It is said that her husband, Frank Snadasti, a military officer, built old Lizzie a torture chamber in their castle. From there, she would enjoy jamming pins and needles under the fingernails of her servants. She also had them smeared with honey and left to be attacked by bees and ants. Not contented with her house personnel, Báthory began targeting the daughters of her constituents. Although unverified, rumors said that she had these poor girls killed to bathe in their blood. The Countess was convicted for murder of 80 people in 1611. She was confided inside her castle, where she died 3 years later. Number 2. Tilly Klimek. Tilly Klimek was a self-proclaimed psychic from Chicago who predicts the death of her victims. In reality, though, Klimek was simply scheduling their deaths. Unlike the lady killers we mentioned on this list, Klimek's killing spree kicked off late in life. It began with the prediction of her husband's death, and indeed it happened. 2 months later, she got married, and another funeral soon followed. Klimek's third marriage came after, and as you might expect, her prophetic dreams began again. Barely a year after her third husband died, a fourth one came, and he too became a victim of her deadly premonitions. By now, her malevolent reputation around town in Cook County, Illinois, began to spread, so much so that neighbors would avoid her for fear of her psychic abilities. Needless to say, a few of them got predicted upon. An argument with a family led Klimek to envision death striking their home. 3 days later, 3 of the poor family's young children died. The method she used to carry out their murders was ultimately revealed upon the death of her 5th and final husband. Autopsy reports indicate arsenic poisoning. She was sentenced to life imprisonment where she died in 1936. And number 1. Jane Toppan. Jane Toppan, a nurse from Boston, was known for her cheerful demeanor, though she was also known by the name Jolly Jane. But her jovial disposition would fail to describe her true personality, considering the crimes she committed. Her trial in 1901 had her confessed to 31 murders, a number of which, according to Toppan, failed to reach her goal to kill as many men or women who ever lived. While working in different hospitals, Jane would be secretly experimenting with drugs like morphine and atropine, which she then would inject in her helpless patients. She went on to admit to the court that she found pleasure looking at her victims perish before her very eyes. Quite interestingly, the court ruled out her murders as manifestations of her insanity. She was then committed to life in the Taunton Insane Hospital in Massachusetts in 1902. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.